Go ahead.
It is my privilege to introduce here today Dr. Emily Tam, PhD, OD, MD, and she's going to teach us all about autorefractor and the 3 values of a prescription. So take it away, Emily.
Okay. So I guess in Mexico we'll have a machine called an autorefractor. That's going to be the first thing that the patients come in to see after getting their names and everything. So the autorefractor is kind of like, it gives an estimate of a prescription just by looking at the front of your eyes. So it's kind of like a video game. There's a little joystick and you just kind of like find the target and get the bullseye on, and then it'll shoot out some prescriptions or some numbers.
Join the right group.
So basically what it'll give you is you'll see OD, OS, and then you'll have a sphere component, a cylinder, and an axis. So this is OD is right eye, and this is left eye. It's Latin, fancy. So you get some numbers. Say it spits out this. Oops. Okay, so say the numbers you get out is that. So that means your sphere component is negative 325. And cylinder, this will always be negative. Okay, negative half a diopter. And then that's the axis at the cylinder. So sphere is like basketball, right? Completely spherical, everything's the same in all directions. And so when you have somebody with a cylinder component of their eyes, so that means their eye's not like a basketball, it's more like a football. Right, so say the long axis of the football is the spherical part, but then you know how it's kind of oblong shape, so then if you look perpendicular to it, the curvature is different. Right, so it's more curved on one side than it is on the other. So that means it's not spherical, it has a cylindrical component to it. So what you'll be doing is you'll be taking a look at these numbers and then putting lenses in a trial frame to, I guess, make up a pair of glasses for them. So we'll have a set of lenses, they're called trial lenses, they'll look like this.
You going to bring a machine there and just check the lenses, check the vision?
No, so we'll have, it's the machine that'll check the prescription, it'll give you this. And then for simpler cases, we'll have non-optometrists be doing this part. This is what I'm teaching you guys. So we'll have trial lenses, they'll look like this. It's a little magnifying glass with a tab. And then in this tab, say, if we needed a 325, you'll see a negative 325 right here. So you would take that and you would put it in the slot in the lens. So it basically looks like glasses, but then with slots that you can put in different lenses in. So you put this one in, so this takes care of the spherical power. And so if you have a cylinder, you also have cylindrical lenses. And so you'll find the one that looks like this. You'll have negative 0.5. But the only difference about these ones is they'll have little hash marks. They'll look like this. So they're usually red or white hash marks. And this indicates the axis of this cylinder, or the power on this lens. Does that make sense?
Close enough.
So what you'll do is, if you look at the axis, is 180. Right, so 180 is horizontal. So what you'll do is you'll orient this horizontally. So you'll make it so that the hash marks are like this. That makes sense? And you'll just put this lens in front of this lens. So it'll just be like 2 lenses that make up one pair of glasses. So the only thing about the axis is, it's a little weird. So it actually goes from 180, which is technically 0, but we don't use 0 ever. So I'll go 180, 45, 90, 135, and this is 180. So the reason why it's 180 is because if you look at these hash marks, if you put it like this, both hash marks are right here. Right, so it's 180 on this side, it's 180 on that side. If you orient it at 45, one hash mark's at 45, and this is 45 again. Right? So you don't have to worry about which hash line needs to be where, you just need to make sure that they're both at 45. Okay?
What, 45 and 135 would be different, I assume.
Mm-hmm. So this one, 45, you would have a lens oriented like this.
This is as you're looking at the patient?
If you're looking at the patient. So they're looking back at you like this.
Okay.
And so if it was 135, you'd have a lens oriented like this. And sometimes you'll get in between. So the trial lens or the trial frames have little hash marks. So you can just shift the lens so that and rotate it so that the hash marks match up with your measurement.
And the axis has to do with the cylinder because it has to do with different halves of the eye.
Yeah, different curvatures. So if there's no cylinder, you'll get something like this. And then it'll just be blank. And so all you do is find the -3, and then you put it in, and that's it. So the majority of what you'll see, it will be negative. You'll find very few positives, right? So, I mean, you all know most people are nearsighted, and they can't see far away, so that's what it is. And then the last thing, does this all make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the last thing we'll have you guys do is you'll make the trial frames and have them put it on. And you'll have them cover one eye and then read off letters on a chart. And after that, since these lenses are loose, we're going to have an extra -1/4 and +1/4. So we're going to have you take this lens and then we're going to put it over what they have. So you don't have to just put it in, but just put it on top and say, is it better with this lens or without it? You know, and if it's better with the lens, then we'll just add this number to whatever we had in the beginning, right? So if they like this one, and it goes to this one, so -325 plus -025 is -350, right? So that's what you'll write down for their prescription.
I think it's good. I think so when you get a machine and it shows one more time, it'll be better.
Yeah.
So
It'll make
now
more
you know the
sense.
theory, but I think you actually see the machine.
Yeah, we're gonna probably have a little training session Friday night before we go out on Saturday.
Okay, good.
The assumption here is that the autorefractor is good within a quarter of a diopter. Is that what that assumption? Is that why we only do that? We don't repeat it again after that. Okay.
It usually is, but if they still say they can't see it, even if you add, I mean, you can go up to like half a diopter, like add a -50.
Okay.
And if they still can't see it, if nothing is making it better, then you'll probably redirect to an optometrist. Just because we don't know then if there's like an ocular disease or if it's just something irregular.
Okay.
So, yeah. Usually, Dr. Keith said that you guys will probably see around the 15 to 30 years old age range because that's kind of where you have the least problems, least amount of problems. And it's not the worst if the prescription isn't completely accurate.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So what happens when they get the prescription?
So the cool thing is, so once they get the prescription and we write down what they have, we'll send them to what we call optical. It's just a big table with a bunch of lenses or frames. There'll be people to help them select frames, adjust them. And we actually send everything, the frame and the prescription, to a lab in Mexico. And so what happens is they'll leave without glasses, and they'll come back a week later on a Sunday. And then we'll say like, you know, you can come pick up your glasses at 9 o'clock this Sunday at this church. And so they'll have a special evangelistic gospel sharing message. And so they'll be there for the message and then they get their glasses afterwards. So.
All right.
Anything else?
That's it.
That's good.
Yes.
How many people are doing this besides, how many of us are there?
So we have 4 optometrists and we have 2 right now of you guys. So now we have 4 optometrists and 4 non-optometrists doing the simpler things.
Okay. Who are the other people that are doing the autorefractor?
The autorefractor, you guys actually wouldn't be doing the autorefractor. But you can.
Now it's no fun.
You can rotate out. It really is.
It's okay.
It's kind of fun.
What are we doing then?
So you'll be doing this. You'll be taking what they have and putting the lens
Got
in.
it.
But the thing is, it all gets kind of monotonous after a while, and so we'll probably train you in different things so you can rotate.
I think I need the Spanish phrases that say A or B or whatever it is. Is this better or is this better?
Yeah. Do you know 1 or 2? Uno
Yeah.
or dos,
Okay.
right?
Uno.
Or
Drugs?
con lente or sin lente. So with the lens or without the lens.
Okay, all right.
I have like a handout, so I'll probably
Okay.
maybe try to scan it.
Okay.
So I have it from my school.
Just one of those basic phrases.
Mm-hmm. Or like read this
Last time
line.
they had me do check-in, that was really bad.
Yeah, I can imagine. Because then they'll tell you all these things and you're like,
Oh my, I have no idea what you're telling me.
So what do the optometrists do? Do you guys actually see like cases where the eyes are like gouged out
So
or
the
something?
most common thing we'll see in Mexico usually, especially with workers, like in the field or whatever, is something called a pterygium. And that means, basically you'll see this is their nose. So have you guys all seen, like, if you look in the mirror and you go like this, and you see like this little skin, it usually comes up to like this, right? So what happens is sometimes when your eyes are dry, there's lots of wind and dust and dirt, it'll get into your eyes and irritate it, and so what'll happen is this will start to creep up.
Oh.
And it'll just keep growing. And the
Just
worst
to
I've
protect
ever
your
seen-
eyes?
To protect your eyes from the dryness and the dirt. I've actually seen one that covered right there. So this is your pupil. That's where you see out of. So they basically, it's almost like an outside cataract. They just can't see.
Wow.
So it's kind of like a film. It's like a little hazy. And you can get it surgically removed, but because it's environmentally caused, it'll just come back. And so the best thing you can do is give them eye drops, and hopefully keeping their eyes moist will reduce it.
Oh, so it'll naturally go back if it's.
Usually, that's if they actually use the drops all the time, continuously, but chances are, probably not. If they run out of a bottle, they're not going to go get another one. That's the most common. It's called a pterygium.
So typically, does the workflow go like the people see the optometrist first, and then you guys pass them on to the diffractor,
Autorefractor.
So the autorefractor is first.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because that will give the prescription, and then it'll probably go to you guys. And then if it's worse or you see something, or if they're complaining more about like maybe itching, burning eyes, and not just it's blurry, then they'll probably send us. Yeah.
They have a pretty cool scheme to check people in. They check them in, they sit in the waiting area, then they call them over to the autorefractor thing, then they send them back to the general population, then they call them back over to do the lenses, and they send them back. Then they do they always see the optometrist at that point? Or?
If you guys can solve their problem, if it's just blurry vision and you can solve it with lenses, then we'll just send them over to the frames.
I noticed that a lot of people said that they had itchy and other stuff that when I was checking people, and a lot, like more than half.
Yeah.
So then all those people get seen, or does it depend on maybe age and other things?
I think it depends also on age. Most of the time when it's itchy and dry, it's just because of the weather.
Yeah.
So, and there's not much that we can do with that.
Allergies or something.
Yeah, sometimes they're allergies. I
Okay.
think we're gonna be able to prescribe drops for allergies,
Okay.
or infections.
Okay. So you got a pharmacist.
So we're just
You guys
gonna
can
have
reach out.
Uncle Melvin handle.
So now that they certify us that we do a job?
Yeah, basically.
That's right.
I'm not even really certified yet, so
You just know what you're talking about.
I
You
do.
fool all of us, so it's
Yeah,
good
just
enough.
pretend that I know.